Hello and welcome to our new episode of Semmelweis STEMtalk. I'm Victoria and I'll be your host for today. We are very pleased to welcome our wonderful guest, Dr. Edina Bugyik, who is a postdoctoral researcher and educator at the Department of Genetics, Cell and Immunobiology of Semmelweis University. It has always been her passion to intertwine the topics of oncology and immunology within her works in various research institutions over the years. She's a passionate researcher, a pro-scientia golden medalist, and a mom of two beautiful boys. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
You once told me when we first met each other that everybody has got their own unique point of view, their voice, and their own unique story to tell. And when it comes to scientists, everybody has their own story that led them into research. What is your unique story?
Yes, actually, you are right. I think that everyone has his or her own story. But I never thought that my story can be interesting for anyone. But again, thank you for inviting me. And my story is difficult and simple at the same time. So when I was a high school student, I had only two ideas what to do with my life. And one of them was that I have to do something with languages because I loved learning English and German in the high school. And the other one was that I want to be a biologist.
Yes.
And this was that specific, to be a biologist. And the cause of it was that when I was 13 years old, I was diagnosed with bone tumor. And I underwent chemotherapy and several surgical procedures. And when I saw the heroic work of the whole hospital staff, what they put into my recovery, I said that I have to add something to this system. It was beautiful what they did for me. So I really wanted to do something with it. And during my treatment, I always had questions. So we laughed a lot with my doctors and nurses because I always had questions. What do you do? Why do you do it? Why do I receive this medicine? And what does it do with my body? And it was kind of fun to have these questions. And I figured it out that a biologist can raise these kind of questions and she can answer them. So that's why I wanted to be a biologist. I had the possibility to attend a course at the University of Debrecen. It was for high school students, but we had an exam. And eventually my exam wasn't the best, but this whole course was so interesting that at this point I knew that no, not the languages, but really I have to be a biologist. Yeah.
So that's how you decided to go into research eventually.
Yes, yes.
I mean, I must say, first of all, thank you so much for sharing that story. It must have been a really difficult time. And, just thinking about it, you mentioned you were 13 when you had to go through it. Those are, teenage years, just the beginning of the teenage years. And I think it can be a very vulnerable time for any teenager, really, just trying to figure out themselves, trying to figure out life and everything. And on top of all of those things, you had to deal with something so very serious and so very physically and psychologically demanding. How did it make you feel at the time? And what helped you, to keep going and to fight through it?
Yes, the fact that I came out as a winner from this fight is a very good thing, but it shouldn't have happened without my family, especially my mother and my big sister. They were always beside me, so it was very important to me to have them. And at the age of 13, I didn't really know what the disease cancer, what disease is cancer. So
Right.
I didn't really knew it. They said that it's very serious illness. You have to fight a lot, but I didn't know what is waiting for me. The first question I had to my doctor, whether I was getting a lot of injections, because I was very afraid of it.
Yes, right.
And he said yes. But I thought that he's only kidding. And it came out that he was not kidding. So yes, it was very hard. And to tell the truth, at one point in my treatment, I felt really bad. So my blood test results were really bad, and I felt really bad. And at that point, I said that it's enough for me. I don't want to receive any more treatments.
Right.
And leave me alone. But eventually, and fortunately, the decision was not mine. So they continued with the treatment, and at the end, I came out as a winner. At one point, I kind of decided that, okay, I will be healthy again. And my doctors were really encouraging, and they said that yes, the half of it is your decision, the other half are we. And it was a very good thing.
Wow, that's a very good point that they made there. But I guess when you're 13, it must be so difficult to make that decision and to realize that you have to be the one who has to make that decision.
Yes.
Wow. And do you feel like that experience somehow influenced the grown-up that you eventually became? Did it somehow have an influence on your, life views, on your values?
Yes, surely it had some influence, but I think it has also two sides. So on the one hand, I gained courage and endurancement and so on. So a lot of things that are good for me. But on the other hand, I always thought that I am less than the others. For example, I had to face my weaknesses many times. And I can say that it's not a good thing to have the task of learning to walk for the first or fifth times in your life. And it makes you not feel strong, but weak. So it's not so good. It has two sides, yeah.
Did you actually have to learn to walk again?
Yes, many times, because I have hip prosthesis, and those surgical procedures are very serious, and you have to learn to walk again.
Wow.
Again, and I had these prostheses replaced,
right,
in certain cases, and yes.
And how did it feel, to go back to school eventually after going through all of that?
It was hard because, the treatment procedure was very long.
Yes.
So I could not continue the school with my former schoolmates. So I kind of went down, and it was tough to have new friendships and everything. But it was also good because I was like a star in my school, and they said that I'm a hero to be healthy again. So it was kind of nice to.
Did you feel like a hero?
Sometimes I feel, but sometimes not.
I see.
It depends on the situation.
So it sounds to me like you had really strong motivation to go into science and research after everything you went through. And I think a lot of people can agree that having that initial spark to start something, it's good to have, but it's one thing. However, sticking with something and continuing to do something once you're in it, and having the discipline and having the patience to go through the various challenges of the process is a very different situation. What were the challenges that you had to face when you were already in research, and what helped you to get through them?
Of course, there were a lot of challenges from the beginning too. I would say that, for example, when you got into research, you have a lot of questions. And yes, I was curious about things, about certain things, but I was shocked by the complexity of the biology of it and everything. And I felt that the more I read, the more lost I am. Yes. So I was confused. But at the beginning of my research career, I had two very good teachers. Sándor Paku and Katalin Dezső and at the Semmelweis University, first department of pathology, helped me a lot. They always said to me that, yes, you can have questions. And of course, you have to have questions. So if you don't understand why do we do our experiments and how do we do them, it's not good. So you cannot have silly questions. And this encouragement and this helpfulness helped me a lot. So I'm really grateful that I had them. And for example, when you are learning something, you have to step out of your comfort zone.
Right.
And just to learn how to handle a new instrument is a big challenge. And it was a big challenge for me too. I always was afraid that I am doing something wrong and I mess up something. And these are so big instruments and they cost a lot. And I was always afraid that I break something or something like this. And I had to push myself a bit. So I eventually learned what I had to. And yes, this was a big step for me to step out of the comfort zone. And when I was a PhD student, and for now too, is it true that if something does not came out well, I don't like it. And when I was a PhD student and I went into the lab very angry and upset, they sometimes asked me that, Edina, what did you broke again? And eventually we laughed at it. And yes, sometimes I broke something. And yes, they said that it's okay. If you are not working, you will not broke anything, but you will not have the results.
Right.
So they are right. And so put these three things together. I say that sometimes you need good mentors. Sometimes you need only yourself. And sometimes you need humor.
Did you ever have any kind of regrets during your journey? And would you have done anything differently, knowing what you know today, if you had that knowledge back then?
I don't really. When I'm talking with my colleagues, it sometimes comes up that, do you regret that you didn't have any abroad studies? Because I didn't have them. Throughout my life, there was no good point for me to move abroad and learn or do research there. And I thought that it will be very bad for my career, but I think I can handle it. And yes, maybe it could be better, but I didn't regret it at all because I wouldn't be here without these situations.
And do you feel like in the future sometime, would you like to go abroad for any kind of exchange experiences or anything like that?
Maybe it would be good, but until my children are small, I don't want to move for a long time, maybe only short trips.
Actually, speaking of your children, you have two sons, right? How old are they?
One of them is 7 and the other will be 3.
Wow. And you were on maternity leave with both of them, right?
Yes.
Now, in my experience, I've talked to a lot of women in the past who were from very different backgrounds, very different professions. But what united all of them, unfortunately, was the fact that all of them faced challenges when they tried to come back to work after maternity leave, or maybe find a new workplace after maternity leave. What were your experiences of coming back into research after having children?
Yes, as you said, I have 2 children, so I came back to research twice. Mm-hmm. And after the first one was really simple, I went back to the same institute where I worked before. Mm-hmm. But I was kind of surprised because it came out that they thought that as I have a family, research is not so important for me at all. But it was not the case. So research was important to me, and I wanted to apply for grants too. So I kind of had to prove the opposite of it. And I tried it, of course, and I think I managed it.
When you say that you had to prove otherwise, did you feel like you have to prove it? Or were you sort of in a position where you were made to prove it? So the question is was it like your internal feeling like you have to prove it? Or were people actually telling you, well, prove to us that you deserve to be here? Or whatever.
Maybe it was my internal. So they didn't make me to prove it. Mm-hmm. But I always feel that I have to prove.
Do you still feel like that today?
Yes, I think. But I don't know why.
But sometimes it's good, you know, because when you have that feeling that you have things to prove, it's a good motivator.
Motivation, yes.
Drive, you know?
It's motivation, but sometimes it will be hard to, because you have to work that much, so it cannot help.
That's
every
true.
time.
That's true, you know. But then if you're the kind of person who's a workaholic anyway, you would still be working even if you had nothing to prove. So it's good if you have something to prove and you work.
Yes.
And, you know, it's all for a good cause.
Yeah, eventually it comes out good. Yeah.
When thinking about your internal qualities, what do you feel you had to maybe nurture or develop over the years within yourself to help you grow within the research field?
Yes, it is a very important question. I had to figure it out too, that to be a researcher is not only to sit in the lab and doing the experiments all day. You have to have other skills. You will have other tasks to do. Mm-hmm. For example, you need skills dealing with communication and writing or presentation skills. These are really important. And you may not meet this kind of education during your university years, mm-hmm. but you really need to be prepared for it. And mm-hmm. you can ask for help too. For example, from your PI or from your mentors, yes. or your lab mates. They can help a lot. But now, when I came to this institute, I decided to go to a coach. And I'm working with a coach. She's a wonderful woman, mm-hmm. Brigitta Kocsisem. She's a big help to me. Mm-hmm. We are improving, for example, the communication skills, or for now, we are dealing with time management, which yes. is a really good question for mothers. I think mm-hmm. we can agree. And it helps a lot. So right. you really have to focus on these skills too, not only research and knowledge and the other stuff.
How do you deal with time management now? Because you mentioned that you're trying to get some training in it. What are some good tips that you've received to try and incorporate into your life?
I don't know the secret yet because we. Yes,
I don't think anybody does.
Yes, I think yes, no one has it. Yes, we jumped into this only now, but since I'm working with Brigitta, I think I can manage my tasks better because, for example, when you have the good communication skills, or you can ask for help. It's not so easy to ask for help, but if you ask for help properly, you will have the solutions for many of the things that you are dealing with. And even if you have a lot of tasks for a day, you can manage them step by step. And it is really important to be focused, I think. You cannot do everything at the same time. You know, the coach doesn't help you to solve things. It gives you only directions.
Yes.
So the work is on you, and you have to step up for yourself.
You know, you mentioned today this question of learning to ask for help, which I think a lot of people find very challenging. And not only that, but, you know, learning to stand up for yourself, finding your voice, learning to say no. These are all very sort of challenging skills to learn. And it sounds like you found a pretty nice solution. So you have this coach, right, who helps you to work through these challenges. By the way, how did you meet this coach?
I met her at an event of the Association of the Women in Science. Actually, it was a course that was dealing with time management and communication skills and presentation. It was an online event, and we had practices, situations, and so on.
Yes.
And I liked it that much that I searched for Brigitta in the internet. And I found out that she is a coach too. So I contacted her and we started to work.
And do you think these kind of coaches, are there many of them? Are they available for young people to, you know, reach out to and contact? Is it something that is widely known about?
I think it is not widely known. Or maybe nowadays it starts to improve, but I think not all of the young students or researchers know about this kind of possibility. And you know, it can cost a lot,
right?
But I think, for example, if you stand up for yourself, and you say your boss that you need this kind of education too.
Yes.
You may have this in group coaching, and it is a good opportunity too. So if you let your supervisor know that there is a good opportunity that you can use for your further career, maybe it will be done. So
that's very good. That's a very good idea. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your very inspiring and challenging, but very inspiring story. And thank you so much for sharing your life experiences and advice with us. We were really happy to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.